In this life, in this life, in this so sweet life, we're coming in from the cold. Good morning, my darlings. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Mobile, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. I want to thank you for allowing me to have yesterday off. I had to recalibrate after the pen relays, lots of equipment that had to be untangled and pulled together so that I could reset my office up. And plus I was exhausted. Let me be clear, right? Just absolutely exhausted. And so I needed the time. And then in the midst of all of that, a friend of mine passed away suddenly, 40 years old, with a set of twins. Just it was just too much. I had a major anxiety yesterday morning and couldn't figure out why until I heard that news. And so today I'm grateful. I have interviews lined up, not just from the pen relays, but in my uh, you know, outings with different people and the things that they're accomplishing. And so this morning will be Coco Moms. And we just a lot of conversation around how we can help ourselves and heal. I have a morning motivation for all of you that I began writing while I was at the pen relays last week, and I want to share it with you. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, these allergies, they think they will not be defeated. I'm not playing these games with them. So I wrote this on April 27th. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to my youngest sister. I call her Frog Legs. She's the tallest of us all, the youngest. She's over 6 feet tall. And so she has a special place in my heart. As the oldest and the youngest, we kind of have this thing where we come together. If she's going through something, her husband will call and she'll find her way to me, or I'll go down and see about her. Or if I'm going through something, she'll pick up the phone and she'll hunt me down until she can find me. And so happy birthday, Froggy. Happy birthday, happy birthday. I love you dearly. I asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and she said peace of mind. I said, well, if I could buy that, then all of us would have it, right? Right about now. So on April 27th, I wrote this. Where? I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. That's going on right here. I can't really tell. Um, and my green screen, so we have to set everything back up. You might see my outline. Just work with me, okay? We'll adjust it. Okay, all right, no problem. We are in the middle of the largest crisis this country has ever seen, and yet I stood with my mouth agape when a pastor told me the church is not discussing what people needed to do to be ready because pastors have no idea what to tell them beyond using scriptures. Wait, what? I was further shocked to hear from the ones who are ready that they heard it on my platform because I have an entire list of what is required and said it with David Alexander Jenkins until we were weak. Somehow, we are watching a whole crisis unfold. The supermarket shelves are thinning, other countries planning for war because of what is happening here, healthcare changing, hospitals closing, people being laid off by the hundreds of thousands, public education being gutted, folks are screaming their Medicare and Medicaid are being taken away, measles growing in numbers, tariffs wreaking havoc on things we took for granted we would always have, planes crashing and caught on fire, citizens being deported, and we keep moving like it's a regular day. Do you know how many people are going to die if we do not start to prepare them now? That was my thought. I was at an event on Saturday, and a beautiful sister who's a pastor, her husband, in fact, prays for me every week. Once a week, I get a thing from him, and saying I'm praying for you. And she stood and she said, Andrea, the pastors don't know. It's like they're a deer in headlights. They know how to use scripture to tell people that they need to pray and to hold on to God. But she said they don't know the first thing about what are we doing in terms of what should people need to be prepared for? She said they can't say it because they don't know how to say it. And so I said to her, they're not telling people to stock up on canned goods. They're not telling people to stock up on water to make sure that they have stuff if electricity goes out. In Europe yesterday, two countries had a major blackout. Stoplights came to a crashing halt. They had no internet service. The train stopped midstream. And it was just hundreds of thousands of people just kind of stranded, and it happened for hours. Are we going to be ready for something like this? Will we be? Right? And so the conversation is always with me. What are you doing? What little bit at a time are you doing to get yourselves prepared? If you are not prepared, and Walmart and Target and all the other big box retailers went and sat with our president and said the shelves are empty in China, in I think it was Virginia or North Carolina, California, where they said the last ship came in. They're not expecting any more ships. China, whether he drops the tariffs or not, China is like, we're not sending anything else here. 42% of what we get in this country is imported into China, from China to us. And so people are starting to feel the effects of the tariffs. But what happens when there's no food on the shelves? The farmers were complaining that they didn't get the funding that they needed to plant their crops. The crops were rotting. The people who would work on their crops left. And so where does that leave us? So the folks are fussing and complaining that they voted for their own demise in the states where the cattle was, being taken care of. One lady came on the air and said the cattle was being taken care of by the immigrants. She said all the immigrants left. Who's going to do what needs to be done to make sure that we have what we need, right? It's a lot. It's a lot. And so, how are we navigating all of this? We're talking about Shannon Sharp. Look, I don't give a hootie. I really need us to have more conversations about how we take care of ourselves. What happens, when things go awry? There's conversation right now in this government. And listen, everything that they've said that they're going to do, they have done. So there's conversation right now in this government to stop women from going to college, because it is said that we go to college and we just don't want to get married, or we don't choose to get married, and there are less children. And they're not talking about us as a whole. They're particularly talking about white women in general. And so what do we do? How are you prepared? I can't. I have had this conversation so many times. I just don't have the unction to keep having it. Just don't, right? Um, Let me see. There's some comments here. Good morning, Swanky Life. How are you, my darling? Morning, Marguerite, Bobby, Charmaine. I see you all here. Nakia. You're welcome. She says, thanks for the live broadcast. That was a whole lot of work, a whole lot of equipment that you couldn't see in the background, but we got it done. And so I have said this over and again. I said, listen, when you're in a business and the money is coming in, put the money back into the business. One of my team members said, "You're going live. All you need is your computer, and just sit in front of it." I was like, mm-mm. Thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment later, and it just keeps on coming, right? You want to make sure that you're able to be heard, make sure that the broadcast is run seamlessly, all the things that needed to be done. And I had a technical producer off to the side that I had to pay, right? Because they set up the equipment, take it down. And then I had people behind me that were volunteering to support. So doing a live broadcast out in, is not an easy thing to do. And now I'm working on the video side of it, to make sure that I get the video equipment. So that's a lot. Marguerite, if you're on and listening to me, remember the things we discussed about the cups, etc. It's because I did what you know. She's like, don't advertise for people that you're not getting paid for. Morning, Laura. Good morning. Uh, Let me see what else is happening here. Alexandra, I see you too. Happy Tuesday. Monica says, "Oh my, I'm so sorry to hear of your friend. Sending you extra love and prayers." Girl, boys, let me tell you, this allergy, that was just a cough. Alexandra says, I'm being instructed by a family member who is a dock worker and one who's a cross country truck driver to get the last of my preparations together within the next 3 weeks. There was a thought that the shelves would start to show signs of being empty in June. Well, baby girls and boys, it's April 29th, and the shelves are already showing signs of being empty. So if you didn't start I promise you, today is the day. Get your canned goods. Make sure you have a regular can opener. Bird flu is still growing in size and scope. People are warning about that. You eat that, you eat the chicken or whatever there is that the bird flu, the swine flu has infected, you have a problem. And because the CDC has not been able to kind of tell us a lot of the things, the National Health World Health Organization have not been able to tell us because this government has shut all of that down. People are just are in a place of quandary and quite not quite sure what to do. Several weeks ago, I went and bought a whole bunch of meat and put them in my freezer. And, so I can take, and when that meat is gone, that meat is gone, right? I just, because everything is just so much more expensive. So, according to Alexandra, she says, I'm being instructed by a family member who is a dock worker and one who's a cross country truck driver to get the last of my preparations together within the next 3 weeks. So, that's happening. Laura says, the pastors may be too heavily minded to be any earthly good. Yes, absolutely. That's what this other pastor was telling me. She said, I keep asking them, what are you doing on behalf of your congregants? They're not telling their congregants to get ready. They're not telling them to get ready that if their water is compromised, which it more than likely will be, because there's a lot happening. And you're seeing examples of it happening. Good morning, Asa Khalif. You see examples of that happening all around the world. This thing is impacting, it's worldwide. And so people have gotten to the place where there's so much coming at them at once. They don't even want to thank you, Mr. Sanders. They don't even want to discuss it anymore. We where them fans at? We're doing the fans. We're doing all the things, and I'm not saying don't do some things for your peace of mind. I'm saying do that and prepare too. So, my good morning, Chloe Isabel Francis. Good morning, teacher nerd. Good morning, all of you. Chloe, forgive me. Yesterday morning, panic attack. I did put up that I wasn't going to be on yesterday morning, but somehow you missed it. And so we're here just trying to navigate through all of it. I'm here now, right? The pen relays wore me out. Speaking of the pen relays, many of the Jamaicans did not come. I mean, when you looked at the stadium and I panned up where I was sitting, you saw a lot of them sitting there, but the stadium was like half empty. You looked all around the stadium, the circumference of the stadium, you didn't see a whole lot of people. And one of the things that the Jamaicans, because I asked, one of the things that the Jamaicans said was that the University of Pennsylvania has been less inviting to them over the years, and they're tired of it. They're tired of the things that they're telling them that they can't do. They said they used to be able to come to the pen relays and bring their coolers and their chicken and their fish and all that other stuff. Now they're limiting that, limiting the things that they can do, and they're not treating them well. This is anecdotally from other Jamaicans who have said that they've just tired of it and they're not coming back. The other part of it though, and Penn can't afford to lose us because we're a large percentage of the relays. We're a large percentage of the monies of the relays. The other thing that they're saying though is that with all the stuff that's going on in the country, whether they are documented or not, they are just not coming back. They're not taking the risk of ICE showing up and dragging people off the street. So people are afraid. People are absolutely afraid. And I understand that because I'm looking at myself and I'm going, I'm walking around with my peppers and I still don't want to go certain places. There's certain states where people are being pulled over and doing immigration checkpoints, and whether they believe you or not, that's the problem. If they don't believe you, then guess what happens? You disappear. They take you off the streets and you disappear. So we're all practicing caution, and not just the Jamaicans, not just brown people. Everybody is practicing caution at this point. So we just, I know, teacher nerd, and the other thing they said, teacher nerd, is that instead of where the races used to be on a certain day at a certain time, and I saw this for myself on Thursday when they did the high school races, they put the Jamaicans last. Every other, if they started at 9, the Jamaicans ran at 11:52 when the races ended at 11:55. And so they're starting to realize that, they're just all over the place, and things that would happen on Saturdays now happening on Thursday and Friday. Many people would come on Saturdays, forgive my coughing, would come on Saturdays because that's when they had time off from work, and they would pack out the stadium. One friend said that she came down on the bus that the Jamaicans would come down from New York. That bus was half empty. So I don't know what Penn is doing. I don't know, between Penn and the government, the folks are just like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of update. Um, but Team Jamaica Bickle did what they did. You saw all of it. I recorded a good bit of it, and put it up so that you guys could see. So enjoy until next year. Uh, ask. Let me see what else. Good morning, Roslyn, Marguerite. Marguerite said you did absolutely well with what you had so far, more advanced than most. It's true. One of my technical producers came and said, "Wait, what? What is going on? When did you get all this stuff?" Yeah, listen. Sometimes we talk too much, and I've just been working at it. And so when I tell you I need a room just for equipment, banners, lights. When I bought my lights were, by the time I finished for the lights alone, they were almost $3,000 for lights, y'all. Lights that didn't even use in the palestra, but it is what it is. We're gonna work it out. Um, Carlene says, I truly appreciate all the work that you did this weekend. You had a lot of equipment and good ones too. Yes, 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 yes. You had to be there to see because folks were walking up going, wait a minute. We're not just doing a computer. It could not in the palestra. The palestra is one big, huge echo chamber. So I had to buy headsets. I had to buy a new system to fit all the headsets in. I had to get a system that. So this is the tiny one that I have in my office, right? Think four times the size of this that was sitting there. And because this one can only hold two headphones, two headsets, I have one now that can hold eight or nine, and and all the other things. So even and I just for those of you who want to get into media, I want you to hear me and hear me clearly. Even my iPads that I was using had to be plugged into that very system so that I didn't have an echo in the iPad. So it was all the sound was coming through one system. That was money too. It was just a lot, but I was so proud of what we were able to accomplish. A great big thank you to Laura, Rowan, and Marguerite Boyd Faison. They came with me on Wednesday with my technical producer to set up. And Laura stayed with me on Thursday, and Marguerite was with me on Friday because there was so much going on. Once I got off the air, I was serving food until my feet felt like they were falling off. And so this is for the love of young people, for the love of athletes. Tomorrow morning, I will share with you the coach that came here on a wing and a prayer and what happened as a direct result when he got to Penn Relays. That was just fantastic. All of us jumped in to make sure those athletes were doing well. And the coach, I had won a basket of pocketbooks. And I took it over to the coach and his team, and I said, either give it to your mother, open them up, give them to your mother, your sisters, whoever else. So when you go back to Jamaica, you can have something to give them, right? Because this was their first time coming here to the United States. And they looked at me, and one of the athletes, tears in his eyes, he said, boy, miss, I never expected this. We just never expected this kind of love from so many of you. And the coach sent me a picture last night that said of him and the Spirit airline agents that helped him to get on the flight at the last second. He went into the airport with no tickets for his team. They had gotten their visas at such last minute. They had a hell of a time. And on a wing and a prayer, that man went into the airport with no plane tickets for his entire team and prayed and worked and begged and asked. I'm going to introduce you to the woman who paid for the tickets. She has a program here. Um, Teacher nurse said, tell us about that $200 you took out of your pocket for an athlete on the spot. How did you know that? How did you know that, teacher nerd? I did not share that. Who told you that I took $200 out of my pocket for an athlete? Y'all, I tell you, I can't get away with nothing. She said, these streets be talking. That did happen. Some of the athletes when they come, these folks. You talk about poverty in America. A lot of these folks don't have the stuff that you would assume that they would have. And so there's one team that comes in every year. The Team Jamaica Bickle group, looks at them and says their clothes. They've washed their clothes so many times that it's faded and worn. And I was talking to one of my Team Jamaica Bickle Irie men, and she said one person got a bunch of money, but this other girl who needs a whole lot didn't get anything. And I had $200 and I took it and I gave it to her. And before the streets start to talk, the coach and his team that came in, I said gave them $600. Each of them got $100, and they just tears. And then somebody else from Team Jamaica Bickle in New York City gave them a $500 check. The one athlete that his grades were so high, they wrote a $500 check, and so we're watching them. The woman that paid for their tickets is actually out of Massachusetts, and so she was able to help. She helps athletes, and it was just all of us pulling together to make sure that they are doing well. And so the coach, when he got back on the flight, he went back into the airport in Jamaica and gave two of those pocketbooks to the spirit agents and thanked them for helping them to get. One of the things that we talk about a lot is gratitude. You have to be grateful. You can't just walk around and say, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have. When you see people sitting in front of you who have way less than you could even begin to imagine. We spend a lot of money buying clothes and shoes and things we just don't need out of boredom. But here we are, right? So it was just fantastic. We had a great time. We worked hard and it was a good thing. Good morning, Tamara. Good morning, Shelly, Cheryl. Marguerite says, yes, only advertise them if they're sponsoring or paying you. Glad you placed I didn't place the order. You've got to tell me where to get the order, Marguerite. Those items will be offered to your followers to be purchased. Good morning. I didn't make the order, Marguerite, because I don't know where to get it. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. Uh, David said, I was surprised the Jamaicans didn't come out in force. Well, now you know why, David. Monica says, I thank you for bringing me such joy and memories from the pen relays. I have been reconnecting with you with my track buddies. Thank you. Tamara says, people that normally come to Philly for the pen relays that I know personally stayed home this year. Some say they're holding on to their funds. Others say that they're having issues with anxiety. The anxiety is high. Tamara, I woke up yesterday morning. My husband looked at me like, what is going on? I could not get myself together for hours. I sent a message to my sisters in WhatsApp. The one from Jamaica called me. She says, what's going on? And I'm telling her, and I'm in tears, and I'm like, this is crazy. The anxiety is out of control. And she said, listen, we're all feeling it all around the world. We're all feeling it. And she talked to me. And then my other sister called me from Atlanta and she says, all right, let's discuss. Let's discuss what you can manage in the moment. I'm so grateful for them. I can't even tell you. I cannot even tell you. And by the time they calmed me down, I got the message that one of my friends died suddenly at the age of 40 of a heart attack. I was like, I can't deal with it anymore. It's too much. Joanne says, so with people being arrested at immigration check-ins, they're not going to be going to those appointments. So people will be running scared, stressed, and angry. You know what they say about hurt people. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Laura says it was so good to see Team Bickle so organized and serving the teams. Yes, they are amazing. Alexandra says that's preparation for something to come, and your telecasts were amazing. Thank you, Alexandra. Marguerite says, Marguerite, Andrea was a listener and a learner also. If her tech person said order, she did it right in the moment. She didn't wait to ask a whole bunch of questions. Excellence. Absolutely. That was true. Absolutely true. Um, Alexandra says, I keep saying Roland Martin, watch out. Here comes Marvel. Yes, 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 yes. Let me see what else is on here. Oh, Carlene says one of the team members won a gift card from our wellness raffle. The team was blessed. Yes, Carlene. The coach was in tears. Oh my God. Okay, thank you, Marguerite. Oh, Tamara, thank you. I just looked at the stone this morning. I just looked at the stone this morning and said, I need to get this stone back on because the anxiety is out of control. Let Alexia in here so you can start to talk to her. Alexia, I can't see you, darling.
Oh, yes. I just turned my camera off real quick. Good
Is
morning.
someone else joining us?
Yes. Lakeisha is. Let me see. She was just.
Right. I'm so grateful that the two of you decided to come on when I asked you in church a couple of Sundays ago. I appreciate you. If you want to see who I'm talking to, come on over to YouTube.
Ah!
Yeah, A.Lawful Truth Enterprises. That's where we are having the conversation. I'm streaming from an app that will allow me to keep my videos because social media, Facebook, etc., keeps telling me that they're erasing my stuff after 30 days. So I
Yep.
had to get creative. So here we are on YouTube. Good morning, my darling. How are you?
Good morning. Really, really good. And yourself?
I am. I was talking to my audience this morning, telling them that I had an anxiety attack yesterday that was out of control.
Oh, no.
Oh, baby.
Oh, no.
It was, yeah, it was. It was interesting.
What
But you know what
provoked
it
it?
is?
Anything that provoked it that you can.
No, but after I calmed down, I got a text message that a friend of mine died suddenly of a heart attack at the age of 40. So for me, I feel things often
Oh,
before they happen or right as they're happening, and I couldn't because there was nothing going on in my life that took me to that place where I needed to be anxious.
yeah,
And then I was like, oh my God, y'all
that's
gonna
what it
have
was.
potatoes, onions, leeks, the carrots, also. Oh, I'm planting everything I can get my hands on just to
Oh,
help me alleviate some of the stuff.
so those
Alexia,
things
huh?
that are those the things that kind of help with managing.
Yes,
Okay,
planting, putting my fingers in the ground,
got
in
it.
the dirt grounds me. And I play my music and I talk to God and I play with the worms, right? So that I can, yeah. And so I'm watching my thing shoot up now. It's amazing. So I'm going to have lots of fruits and vegetables to give away. I have a
Ooh,
lemon tree that has lemons on it. I have strawberries and I have blueberries. The strawberries are already popping up strawberries. So I'm excited about that. Let me see. Lakeisha is here, so that's good. Let me let Lakeisha in.
awesome.
Lakeisha!
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, my darling. Thank you so much. Let me introduce the both of you. Hold on. Alexia Dumboya and Lakeisha Enswa are two people you must get to know. Alexia is the founder and president of an organization called Coco Life, an organization that was created to provide a safe space to celebrate Black moms who are expecting, affirm those navigating postpartum, and offering support to those moms who have experienced the loss of a child or a significant loved one. Lakeisha is the executive director of Coco Life. Listen to me. Um, I love, Alexia, that you hired Lakeisha, who is also an accomplished business operations strategist with over 25 years of combined entrepreneurial and corporate experience, specializing in training quality systems. So that means Coco Life can run in a way that should be run.
Hmm.
Ah, all
Yes.
right. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel. Hold on.
Grab your water. Put your hands
Mm-hmm.
up. That's what we were talking about. And I love even the importance of the grounding we were just talking about before he came on, Lakeisha, about the importance of grounding and actually getting into the ground as a
Mm-hmm.
method of.
Yeah, digging into the dirt.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
so, what has happened for me is that I have to wear a mask to plant
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the allergens are, I don't know if there's some special demonic things in them this year,
Mm.
but they're
Mhm.
terrible. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. Talk to me about Coco Life. When was Coco Life formed and why?
So we are in our sixth year, if you will. So sixth anniversary. We're super excited about that. And I would say what really influenced the launch of Coco Life started, and I shared a little bit about I think the journey before, even when we were talking in the past about the impact of maternal mental health. And
Yes.
so for me, that impacted me about 13 years ago with our eldest daughter. And so at that time, I really did not have the language
Yes.
to assign to what I was going through.
Mhm.
And I thank God though I had a really good friend at the time that probably almost a year postpartum was like, okay, she didn't live in the Philadelphia area. She lived in northern Jersey. And so, but she would come down and check in, and she was like, okay, I feel like there's something more going on here. But what was
Mhm.
interesting is that she did not say that because I was sitting in what sometimes we as society recognize as like that normal state of depression, like where I was just sitting quietly. I was still doing all the things. And so, but she just knew that there was some level of detachment that was happening. And I will attribute that to just her spiritual connection and her learned experience as a social worker. So after going through therapy, I didn't realizing that I was going through postpartum depression, psychosis, and anxiety. And then I'm talking to other friends and family, and then I start hearing more stories around challenges with getting pregnant, around losses, and there were some experiences of joy. And so
Mhm.
there we started talking about, okay, let's create an environment for moms that can support moms, and then learning about this role of a doula from a really good friend of mine whose cousin was a doula, and she's explaining it to me, and I'm like, I feel like that's what I need to be doing. And my
Right.
background was in organizational leadership, working for different health insurance companies, so I'd already seen a lot of what the disparities that we talk about from that perspective, but seeing that this role of a doula can really support. And so Coco Bump, we started as, which we still use that language.
I
when
actually
my
like Cocoa Bump. I
Yes, and
do.
we do. We still, it's our, we got our Cocoa Bum Doula group we'll get into a little bit.
Hmm.
So we still use the language as well.
Can you trademark Cocoa Bump?
So yes, that's actually what we started. So quick story. What had happened was, because there's always a story, and now I'm gonna pivot like to the entrepreneurial hat side and remind people that when you go into this work, it's great to have these ideas. It's great to want to pursue them and make sure that you are legitimizing things. Make sure that you are working with the right people. So thankfully, we did have an attorney. Shout out to Rhonda Anderson. So we did have an
Oh,
attorney.
stop
Hmm.
for a second. It's talk about Cocoa Life.
Hmm.
Rhonda. So in 2016, I got two trademarks: A Lawful Truth and more and Divine Mother Diva, because Divine Mother Diva is going to be my clothing line, right?
Ah,
Yeah, did
Love
all
that.
before I even started talking about it. A couple of weeks ago, my lawyer, the one lawyer, said that my third trademark, Never Met a Stranger, had been accepted by the U.S. Patent Office. So it takes months for these things to come through.
yes.
Then I called Rhonda and I said, listen, if I'm going to do this work, I need to get a 501c3. My girl,
Yep.
it took her 6 months. The
Hmm.
IRS called her and said, well, we don't have the right address, da 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 da. I now am the owner of the A Lawful Truth Foundation, right? So
Woo!
I tell people all the time, it is nice to throw up your shingles, but you really must do the work of
Yes,
legitimizing your stuff, because
yes,
once it takes off, somebody will go and look at the US patent website to see if your name is already registered for a trademark. They will take the name,
Sure
register it
will.
as their own, and then
yep,
tell you cease and desist, which is
yep,
why I tell you, Cocoa Bump, I love that. That is resonating in my soul, girl.
yes, yes.
Cocoa Bump needs to be
Yes.
registered.
And so when we went through that process, it
Mhm.
was because we had started Cocoa Life, or Cocoa Bump had started. We were offering the support. We also have gift boxes for each of those stages that you mentioned. So what happened was, as we were doing these gift boxes, we put Cocoa Bump on the gift boxes. However, that bump part resonates with another organization that is, non-black led, and we got a letter in the mail that was like, you can't put bump on a box because we already doing that and we already got a trademark. And we were like, bet. Okay, so we can still use Cocoa Bump as it relates to like education, business oriented services, but we had to pivot and embrace Cocoa Life. And so I thank God too that in our Cocoa community, my brother-in-law, who's heavy into IT, I was looking for a new domain, and he was like, just go with dot black. And I was like, that's a domain? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and we working with black people too? I mean, we work with
Yes.
all people, but we were centering in on black motherhood. Bet. And so thus Coco Life Black came right, and that when I tell you God oriented it so well, because it came and we pivoted right before we really kind of started to make waves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too that's what Lakeisha and I and thanks to our good sis Rhonda has been really helping us to do. So that's the origin story, if you
Mhm.
will, and kind of the why also that supports it.
I need to backtrack a little bit with you. Was your birthing experience good? It's just that you had the
Postpartum.
postpartum depression, anxiety.
It was not. It was not. I remember feeling like I was in this like asylum almost type
Mm-hmm.
experience. It was very sterile, and we know hospital rooms don't necessarily have the most inviting spaces for those reasons, but the people really, it goes back to like who you have in your environment. At
Hmm.
the time too, I was navigating a very difficult marriage, and so I knew that that was also impacting it. And so my mental health experiences and challenges really did start during pregnancy. So when we talk about perinatal mental health challenges, it really did start during pregnancy. But I just assigned that to be related to my hormones being all over the place. And so it started there. And I just thought, oh, by the time I have this baby, it'll be all good. And it just
Yes,
didn't go away.
it didn't. I'm grateful that you shared that story, because there's so many people now with small children that had
Hmm.
babies The babies are here, they're 2 years old, sometimes three, and you see them not trying, they're not coming out of this thing, this haze
This
that they're
haze.
in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter-in-law had a set of twins, and then she got pregnant again
Mm-hmm.
when the twins were 5 months old, and that poor child never had a moment to
Yep.
breathe. And so I jumped in, began watching her very carefully, began making sure she had what she needed, began and 2 days ago, Sunday evening, she called me. She said, "Not only are you the best grandmother these babies could ever have," she said, "you've been such a major support because her mother died just before she
Mm.
married my son."
Yep.
Right? So you got to pay attention to what's
You do.
happening to the people in your family. Don't just attribute it to them being miserable. Don't just attribute it to them not wanting to do anything or they're being lazy. They're
Yes.
going through.
Yes.
We got to.
Yes.
I can't wait to come back and
Yes.
and catch this clip right here because you about to be the spokesperson for the village. And I know
Yes.
Lakeisha get into the village, but with real quick too, with my second pregnancy with our 5 year old son Musa and I, my mom had just passed. So probably a few months before, my mom had passed in August on August 1st of 2018. Musa's dad passed August 2nd of 2018, and then I got pregnant, and it's like you are still in this newness of the pregnancy. And so here I am, silly me thinking, oh, okay, well, I knew about it before. So I know I won't catch postpartum
Wow.
depression this time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I thank you for lifting that up about the village and the
Yeah.
Yes.
importance of it.
It's
Mother Doula.
important. It
Yes.
really, truly is important. And it is important not to come from a place of judgment, but a place of understanding and
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
really watch. It was not just me, it was all my sisters. We were
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, they keep asking me, how is she doing? I said, well, I think she's okay this week, but I talked to her every day. I was texting her, checking in. I would randomly send her little gift cards and say, go get yourself a cup of coffee. And she
Oh,
would send me teary
Oh.
emojis. She's going, and she calls me mom. I said, Mom, you must have known I was having a day. Right. And I
oh,
told her, I said, don't worry about the house. The babies, you can find bacon on the floor. Somebody had a chicken bone. There are three small babies under three.
that's,
Everybody is running. Everybody is talking. So
yeah,
this is why it's so important for me to speak to the both of you. Because when I saw you in Enon, I said to myself, oh my God, this needs to be highlighted. More and more, we think women just pop out babies and
yeah.
life goes back to normal and
Yeah.
they have the diapers and the wipes and whatever else and they're feeding. Let's even talk about breastfeeding. How
Mm.
traumatic that can be if you have a bunch of babies at one time or people
Yes.
judging you
Yes.
if you're breastfeeding
Yes.
or judging you if you're not breastfeeding. Let's discuss.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. So I'm a twin mom. Also have three kids, but I'm a twin mom. So my second pregnancy was twins. They're seven now. And I breastfed my oldest until she was a year old. So of course, when I had my twins, I was determined to breastfeed them for a year. It was so much harder,
Mm-hmm.
so much harder to breastfeed both babies. And I did it. Thank God I did it. I did it. I made it through, but it was so much harder. And I felt like I was just always feeding somebody. And it is this feeling. Somebody asked me, oh, did you tandem feed? Which is, for anyone who doesn't know what tandem feeding is when you feed both babies at the same time. And I said to them, well, I tried a couple times for efficiency's sake, but you don't feel human.
Yeah.
I did not feel human when I tried to tandem feed my babies. I felt like I was a cow being milked.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally how I felt. And I was one of those very unashamed people who breastfed. I didn't care where I was. I would breastfeed in church. I would breastfeed in the restaurant. My baby needs to
Yes.
eat.
Because
I
the
did
babies need
not
to eat.
care.
Yeah.
Right. My baby need to eat and I'm not doing it in a bathroom. I
Right.
do not care. And so yep, I would just, and if you got a problem with it, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. But
Mhm.
it takes so much out of you. And I remember talking to a friend. I think the twins at that point were probably about a year old. And I was talking to a friend, and I had just ran into a mutual friend. And she was like, yeah, I spoke with a mutual friend of ours, and she said she saw you and you just looked exhausted. Well, yes, because at the time I had two 2 year olds and a 7 year old. And they took literally everything that I
Everything.
had. And I have a fantastic support system. And so for me, it's always thinking about if this is how I feel with this awesome support system. I have my mom and my mother in law and my aunts and everybody around, always there, ready to step in. And not to forget my husband because he was there and very present as well. But I had everybody there ready to step in. And so it's like, if this is how I feel with all of this support, with this wonderful village, how do the moms who do not have the same village feel? How do they feel? Because I've got an army of people who are here and ready and willing and stepping in at a moment's notice so that I can get some relief. What about the people who don't have that?
That
How are
that
they feeling?
that concerns me, which is why Coco Life is so necessary. Tamara says, my niece was referred to Miss Alexa. I believe you said her name via Reverend Miles when she experienced a loss. You blessed her life. Thank you.
Mm,
Oh, God bless you.
mm,
God bless you.
What do you do with the moms who loses
Mm.
mm.
their babies?
We wrap our arms around them.
It
I
is,
can't even imagine it.
it is by far, um, probably the element we love every part, every stage that we serve moms in, and that compassion stage is so close.
Hmm.
It's not like, we heard about it, we thought about it. It is so close to home for each of us, Lakeisha and I, and other members of our Coco Life team in particular. So when we first launched, with Coco Bump, we said compassion was to serve and support the loss of a child. However, one of our, board members and one of our founding members at the time, when she was 7 months pregnant, lost her husband. And so that's where we added it. And it came, not only did she lose her husband, but this was a baby that was a rainbow baby for them because they had experienced loss of a child before. They were young, like 30, and I think she was under 30 at the time. He was a very notable comedian, Chris Cotton. And so
I need my tissues. Hold
I,
on, cause this is
it's,
I can't. I don't know
it's
how you do it.
it was and then this all happened and COVID hit.
Hmm.
And so she's grieving, birthing, and in a isolated chamber, if you will, that is her home. And so I thank God that she allowed me to be her postpartum doula at that time. But the loss part of it, losing a child, losing that significant loved one, we believe is why God called us to do this work. And so we'll say, while Coco Life may not be like a faith based organization like a church, we are very much so Christ centered because we know for whom we've been called by.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so when we look at those experiences of loss, like Lakeisha said, we're wrapping our arms around and we're providing resources. So we're
Hmm.
connecting with community because we've had that experience. Like we just had an experience. We're coming up on a year's birthday,
Yeah.
if you will, for a mom who we were working with. She was working with one of our best doulas, Nafisa, and the experience hit her. And this was a family member of Lakeisha's. And so we're wrapping our arms around her. And unfortunately, this baby was born sleeping. And so then we realized too the need to support the supporter. Because this
Yes.
doula, as she's trying to support this family, is going through it. Right. And so when it comes to our compassion support, it's layers. So, yes, we're supporting that immediate family, that mom, that dad, the grandparents, because they've experienced the loss. Then we're supporting the supporters because thankfully her care team in the hospital were rocked by it. And I say thankfully because it can become so commonplace that they just, oh, keep it
Detached.
moving. But the doula had to catch the nurse in that space too. And so one thing that we like in an emotional sense, and so one thing we say when we differentiate between midwives or OBs and doulas is we say midwives and OBs catch babies, doulas catch mamas. And so that is what we are kind of here to do in that compassion state. And I remember that loss piece hitting me, at a young age too in my
Hmm.
family, and we not really knowing how to necessarily talk about it. And 20 some years later, I was just having a conversation with my aunt and she started opening up and sharing more. And I'm like, because of this work. So,
Yeah.
because we created this space, we've been able to have even more conversations within our own family about the impact of loss.
Yeah.
There's so many moms who have lost multiple children
Yeah.
quietly.
Yep.
There
Hmm.
is a whole contingency of them And I only realized it after doing a podcast with a mom who had lost multiple children and she finally gave birth to her first baby, her only child.
Mm.
And after that podcast aired, the amount of mothers that I knew that had lost, I had no idea.
Yep.
No idea, which is why I wanted to do a podcast episode with you guys too, because they kept saying to me in tears, I'm either trying to have babies, I've lost two, three, four babies already. One mom told me she lost six babies before she had one.
Yep.
It's just, I
Yep.
had no idea. And so we have to become passionate and be very mindful when we're having conversations with people, because we don't know what they had gone through. So you both are lifesavers in this industry, especially in a time when healthcare, black moms are still dying during childbirth in the hospitals. Black moms are
Mm-hmm.
losing babies at an alarming rate. Even though we make up 12, 13% of the population, our babies are the ones that are dying. It's as if people don't care, they don't
Yep.
listen. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter your income level, doesn't matter your education level. It's just that they look at your brown body and say, well, they have way too many babies anyway. I
Anyway.
don't believe what they're saying. Black
Yeah.
people can experience pain at a different level than other people. And so this mom is just exaggerating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
You're six
Lakeisha.
years in.
Mm-hmm.
When did you bring in Lakeisha?
Ha! So,
So, you want to
right.
tell the story?
I'm just gonna set you up. I'm a volley. By
Okay.
saying, um, Lakeisha brought herself in, and I'm a say that, and then I'm gonna pass it to Lakeisha.
Okay, Lakeisha.
So Alexia and I have known each other for a number of years. I would say probably about 7, 8 years because I met her before I had my twins, um, and probably about 3 years ago now,
Mhm.
her and I started having a conversation. I've always had a passion for serving moms in some way. Especially since becoming a mother, just helping moms take better care of themselves has always been a passion of mine. So her and I have been having some conversation about doing some mom community stuff in the church, and how can we build communities for moms with young kids, not the ones who have older kids and are involved in a lot of things, but the little ones who are just kind of at home or by themselves. And so we started talking about that. And then she invited me. She said, oh, we're getting ready to have these annual events. It was like our first awards and like our second baby shower or something like that. And she was like, would you come and join the planning committee? So I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And so I joined the planning committee, and we get through everything and we make it through both events. And when we were done, I said, so I love this and I love the work that you are doing, but we can do better. um,
Ah, there
and
you
so
go.
we can do better. We made it through, and that's
Mhm.
great, and we got it done. But if you're going to grow this, like I think you can, and what's needed, there are some things that we're going to have to do differently. So it started off, I was like, I'm just going to help you out. And it started off as, just some volunteer work. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to help you out. Here goes some ideas. Here are some things you can put in place. And that lasted for about 3 months. And she said, so how about you just join us full time? It's like, I don't know. I'll just keep helping you out. And that probably lasted about another 3 months before I officially joined the organization full time. And
Mm.
so for me, I'd much rather be in the background fixing something. That is my happy place. But it really was about wanting this to grow, understanding how important it is in the community, understanding how many people need these services and need this support, and wanting to be able to do whatever it is that I can to make sure that Lexi can go out and be the big bleeding heart that she is.
Yeah. And you know what? Your work has launched Coco Life into the stratosphere.
Mm.
All the
Mm.
ideas that you had, because to your point, Alexia is the face of the organization. You put the structure in. I saw it. I saw it in church. I got to talk to the sister. I got to talk to this
I
sister.
said.
Oftentimes when we start things, we want to just hold on and it's my thing. And so Alexia, I've got to give you credit for this, because
Hmm.
you could have said this is my thing.
Mm-mm.
Lakeisha, you sound like my Marguerite. Marguerite is like, all right, you gotta do this. You gotta make sure that this is off. You gotta make sure you got da 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 da. And folks don't understand that in order for you to grow, You have to take the solid advice of those who have been in the industry for a while and understands what it needs to do, what needs to be done. You've got to be able to let go. So I have a team of four. Damn, I have a team of five now. I just keep adding
Woo!
folks because I could tell. I talked to one sister who had been doing podcasts for a while, and she said, "I'm exhausted. I'm editing. I'm producing." I'm like, "Wait, what? Nope.
Mm.
Right.
I got a producer, I got an editor, I got a marketer, I got a content producer, I got a technical producer, I got two technical producers actually.
See?
So that the work can come out seamlessly because you can't do everything by yourself. So
No.
Alexia, I was so proud of you when you said she was the executive. I said, well, all right, Black Jesus, we're gonna get more work done because you now can go out and get the funding. Talk about the
Yes.
organization for
Hmm.
the big picture while
Yeah.
she's doing the nuts and bolts and everyday work of what needs to be done to make Coco Life run. Super duper proud. I mean, I can't even say can't how proud I am of the both of you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. I said to someone asked, um, what was like a defining moment or like a area that of success? Like how would you define it? And I said when Lakeisha joined the organization, when she saw and and don't get me wrong, that does not take away from the amazing acknowledgments we've gotten.
Mhm.
We just got recognized during Black Maternal Health Week by the
Yep.
PA Black Maternal Health
Yep. I saw
Caucus.
that. Yep.
And so that was great. But, and I should say, not but, and when someone sees through God's eyes the vision that you're trying to create and says, let me put my great into your necessary work, that's where I believe the moment comes in that you can truly embrace. And
Yep.
I'm one, I've always said like you have to lead in your lane. I mean, that's the language I
Yes.
use now, but it's like you have to make space. And so let her do what she's great at and what God has gifted
Yes.
her for. But the fact that she saw this little organization, right, and was like, this is, I can see bigger too
Yes.
if I can plant in this area. That
Yes.
meant the still means like the world. And so that's why I'm a firm champion. I'm like, we come together, we,
Hmm.
are able to do this. And our team, again, like you said, that we have been blessed to be able to add to. We just added a person
Yes.
Yes.
to our team. So,
Yep.
God is doing something wonderful, and we want
Mhm.
to be able to acknowledge our village. We can't say enough. Like what you said too, Mother, in the beginning about how you stepped in and supported. That is exactly from a Black woman's perspective what we
Yep.
have to do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We have to,
Absolutely.
because these moms are, and we are the answer in a state like PA where you just quoted some of the statistics, and 92% of those maternal deaths are preventable.
Yes. That
That's too
part.
They
high.
didn't have to happen.
It didn't have
They
to
didn't have to
happen.
happen.
And when you start backing into why, like you said, you can't, good job your way out of it, good education your way out of
And
it,
yeah.
and these things are happening. We know PA is very much so rural outside of Philly and Pittsburgh. But growing up and coming from, and yep, I was going to find a way to put it in there. Growing up in Western PA, because I'm from
Mhm.
Aliquippa,
Ooh,
Pennsylvania.
Lord, you way out there.
I'm from Aliquippa, but I've been in the Philly area about 20 years now.
Uh-huh.
And what I remember seeing then in that small town, and then still seeing a lot of that happening in a large city like Philadelphia, I'm like,
Mhm.
for Black people, I'm like, we got to deal with this. And we do have some allies, right, that are
Yeah.
non people of color that
Mhm.
have stepped up and even in some cases put their kind of jobs on the line, if you will,
Mhm.
or their influence on the line to
Mhm.
help Coco Life move into these different spaces. So we thank God
Mhm.
for sponsors. We thank God for you for sharing your platform
Yes.
with us.
When you were in Enon and they were raising money for you guys on Easter Sunday, I don't even want to know what you got, but let me tell you this. Wait, hold on. My thing that I gave her for Lent was cussing. Well, I cussed so much that I wrote a check to y'all.
And we appreciate you for it.
Thank
Where my
you.
cussing money going? Ooh, I cussed. I said, Jesus, forgive me. I should have given up sugar. Something other than cussing. I laughed so hard. I said, well, Lord, it's going to a worthy cause. But I love that when I say you have allyship, the fact that Enon, where
Mhm.
the church is attended the
Yes.
most out of the year, which is Easter,
Yes.
There were a
Yeah.
good 7, 8,000 people in the first service. I don't even know what was in the second service
Yeah.
because you couldn't even breathe in there. There were so many people. It is amazing that they were able
Yes.
to say people would, we got a special envelope, and that money was going straight to you.
I, I,
We are beyond. For the last few weeks, really, we have been trying to find the words.
Yeah,
I mean, the church has been such a great support to us over the
yeah,
years anyway, in a multitude of ways.
hmm,
And but for this,
yeah,
for something that we've seen, being members of the church and seeing, all of the great organizations that they have donated to
yeah,
in the past, and for us to be among them, and for the church to recognize the work that we're doing, especially because this is work that we feel called to do.
yeah.
And so when your spiritual home recognizes the work that you've been called to do and so generously pours into it, we are still
Yep.
doing the hallelujah dance
Yep.
oh, well,
because
listen,
It's some
listen.
because
shouting.
of it. Like
It's,
we are
You'll be able
still
to hire more people. You'll be able
yeah.
to do the
yes,
work. You'll
More
be able to
yes.
bring
donations. Yeah.
therapists in to help with the moms that are losing. You'll be able to, oh God, I thought it all through and I was like, this is a blessing on top of a blessing. But
Yes.
Alexa, if you did not listen to God's voice when Lakeisha came on and said,
Let's go.
and
And
what I love about you is that you don't have founder syndrome. You know, people who start
yeah.
organizations, it's my and it's
Mm-mm.
my. You're like, we're working as a team. When I tell you in about 5 more years, Coco Life is going to be an international
Mm,
voice, I see it. And you know, I don't speak just to speak
No.
because you are literally allowing the spirit to move you to bring on the kinds of people that needs to happen because here's where I'm telling you. Black women are walking away from hospitals. We're
Mm-hmm.
done with
mhm,
having hospitals make us lose our lives and our babies.
Yep.
Doulas are becoming and so hospitals now are trying to figure out ways to keep doulas out of hospitals. You're going to have your own birthing centers. I'm calling it as I see it.
oh,
The
Oh
birthing centers
God.
are here. They're coming. And so the fact that you are on the forefront, that you're on the frontier of this, and not only are you on the frontier of this, you have the kind of temperament because you can't do this work and you're cussing out people and telling people all this other stuff. I've seen it. Listen, you're not the
Yeah.
only organization out here. I've seen them, right? And you have the spirit of understanding that this isn't about that you want to share and open up a space for people. And this is not just about you and your ego, right?
mm.
I've been watching you, my sister. When I say I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
and then Musa, who was like there like a proud no, listen, Musa's like, listen, touch not my wife. We will have a discussion in some circumstances. So you
We
have a whole
appreciate
support
them.
system. Yes.
These
Yes,
You
we
have a
women
appreciate
said
we appreciate our Cocoa dads.
I
yes, they're
two things
important.
two things I just wanted to say. One, yes, to echo Lakeisha, we are so grateful to E9 for that. You know, when Reverend Miles and Reverend Waller reached out and said you were the organization chosen, we were like, who, us? And it came, and not a lot of people know that. Well, nobody probably knows this except Musa at that time when they said it. So my kind of groundwork this year has been internal, navigating, making sure that I'm not allowing myself to fall into the enemy's voices of, what I'm not versus um, what we are. And I've seen so many moms that had set out to, be very progressive in the things that they want to do and very hopeful. And it was breaking my heart to see this hope kind of fade for them because of not having a space of feeling seen or feeling held. And so, when we made this commitment to center in on maternal health, particularly that perinatal stage, we were like, we want to make sure that we create community, and then we want to expand it, and we want to make sure the village supporting these families have community. And so at that time I was definitely in a reflective place of like, okay, God, what is in store? Like, what do you need us to do, and how are we going to keep this going, right?
Yeah.
How are we going to make sure that we can keep the lights on, as they say? And then they reached out, and I'm like falling out because Lakeisha and I are trying to apply for all of these grants, and we're trying to do this, and we're getting no after no after no
yep.
after no for grants where people reached out to us asking us to apply for a grant and still tell us no.
Yeah.
And we're like, how are we gonna? We gotta keep doing. We got doulas that are depending on us because we are
Yeah.
providing this workforce opportunity. We've been able to provide that resource to doulas around sustainability. And when you said centers, I really teared up because Lakeisha and I just talked about this. A lot of people ask us, do we have a physical building? And we said, we went back and forth with it, but we had to make a conscious decision to say no one space right now because we saw God taking us into a multi space
Mm-hmm.
centers type of model.
And we
And
did not discuss this.
we did not. And so, kind of like the Bump and Beyond boutique, the Cocoa Bump centers, those are the language that we've been talking about. What, as recent as probably last
Last
week,
week.
we were
Last
just
week.
talking about it. So that's when the Holy Spirit is reminding us, even in this conversation, to stay vigilant. You know, to stay focused on what His calling is, and to lean into that. And when we did two prayer meetups during Black Maternal Health Week too, one at Jefferson and one Einstein, and then one at Lincoln. And it was because we also recognize that this spirit does not go out but by prayer and fasting. And so
Yes.
this spirit of division, medical racism, systemic racism, we have to cover these institutions and the people that are birthing in it
Hmm.
while we're on this journey. And that's where that really, came from, as well. So thank you for your message, as God's trusted messenger as well, because it resonated. Yes.
So before you got the call from Enon, you were stressing about how you were going to pay to do this. When you got the call, because I know that feeling, baby girl. I know when you get the phone call that says, "We want to offer you a sponsorship," but I didn't call you. Don't worry that you didn't call us. We want to offer you a sponsorship, and we want to be able to. And you look up and you say, "Okay, God, I hear you." Not fussing and complaining about anything else. Not trying to figure out where the next dollar is coming from. I know that you will provide it just when it needs to be provided. And so, Enon, with all those members, you're able to pay your doulas and do the
Mm-hmm.
things you need to do, right? So stop stressing. Walk by faith, not by sight.
Yes. Yes,
And I'm
ma'am.
talking to myself as I'm talking to you.
Yep.
Because as I watched the both of you at the podium on Sunday, that Sunday, a couple Sundays ago for Easter, I saw all of these things. I saw it. I saw it. I saw you as a leader who was willing to share space and time with someone who knew more than you in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you highlighting that leader. I saw you. I was like, okay, I don't see this a lot because we get a lot of folks that get into leadership and we're like, well, this, I am the such and such. I am the big cheese. I am the, and you're saying, but you need support. No, because
Yes.
they're going to take away from me. And I'm just going to go all the way in because, get in trouble, Andrea. Get in trouble, Walla. Get in trouble, Andrea. Black women in particular, we have an issue with
Yeah.
allowing other women to walk into leadership with us, and we get into all kinds of trouble around it. And so to see you modeling in front of thousands of people what it looked like to be the leader for an organization that pulled another person in to run your day to day, it was a remarkable thing to witness. Remarkable. So we've only just begun to see what you had to do. There are a ton of things here. Tamara says, I wish you all were around when I had my babies. My ex-husband thought I was tripping when dealing with postpartum. I was silently dying inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alexandra says, I wish you ladies that were in existence when my sister-in-law and my brother lost their baby. She never took time to grieve in a healthy way. She stated she didn't have time to. She had a 2-year old. People are dying out here
Yeah.
just dealing with this
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, uh, uh, what an incredible blessing. It just means that the work you are doing is needed, worthy, and God charged. Keep growing,
Mm.
ladies. Yes,
Thank
that was
you.
Monica. She said, Jesus, 92% preventable. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alexandra says, yes, doulas are being covered by insurance and
Yep.
folks don't know about it. That was a
Yep.
listen.
Yep.
Yes.
Um, Tamara says, come on, yes, Alexia. Tears of joy and blessing. Speak life over it, mother. I'm telling you, when I see a thing, I call a thing. I don't
Yeah.
always do it. I'll be nice to you, but I'm not telling what God don't tell me to say. I promise you. So this is where we are. How can people reach out to you if they are interested in getting a doula?
Everything, all of the things. If you want to be part of community, if you want to be, as my shirt says, a mom ambassador, which is just someone who supports the mom, supports the work. If you are looking for a doula, it can all be found on our website, cocolife.black.
Mhm.
And there is a section for those who want a doula, outlines all of our doula services. Listen, doulas are covered by Medicaid. So, because we know 1 in 3 births in Pennsylvania are
Mhm.
covered by Medicaid. So, doulas are 100% covered by Medicaid. So, if you're sitting there and you're like, oh no, I don't know, I can't afford it. If you have Medicaid, doulas are covered. It is a covered service and we accept it.
Mhm.
If you want to support the cause in any way, if you want to volunteer, all of that information can be found on our website.
And the
Yeah.
one thing I'll just add to that too, and Lakeisha mentioned it on that Sunday, but excuse me, especially because we have your beautiful audience here too. One of the things that we have to stress with this Medicaid piece, right, is Pennsylvania and some other states have said we want to cover doula services by Medicaid. Now, what doesn't come up a lot in this maternal health space for doulas, but and we're not ashamed to say it, is workforce sustainability. If
Hmm.
we now have this space where doulas are being recognized as the champions that we've always been, and they're saying we want to cover these services, we have to take advantage of it. We are not co-signing the, again, the over medicalization of birth, but we are saying if they're saying, hey, doulas, we want to cover it through Medicaid, and so we are working diligently to get our doulas not only trained and certified through our organization, but then we take it a step further and help them to get certified with the state. Like we're doing a really big initiative on May 18th. We'll share the information with you if you want to put out to your audience, where we're inviting doulas in and we can help them with that process. Because if we don't, what the message is going to be is, oh, see,
They
they didn't
don't
really
need it.
want
Yeah.
They
doulas.
don't need it.
They
They'll
don't
take it
need it.
away.
Yeah.
Nobody's even signed up, and that money that has been allocated, thanks to one from the state, Governor Shapiro and his team, and then from the Medicaid piece, is going to go someplace else. It's not just
Hmm.
Yes.
going to go away; it's going to go to
Mhm.
someplace else. So we got to make sure that as Black people in our community, this is our work. The word
Mhm.
doula is a Greek word, and so we may not always have known that to be the word because they've been birth keepers, birth companions, mother,
Midwife.
yep,
Right.
cousin,
Auntie, cousin.
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
this is the language that we have learned and adopted, and so we got to make sure we don't miss what is rightfully ours as it
Yeah.
relates to this birthing space.
Yeah. I'm so proud. Lord Jesus, I'm so
Thank
proud.
you.
I can't even whoo, we knew. Alexandra says yes they are. Jefferson Health Plans, Health Partners, Plans Healthy Kids helps set up doula services.
Hmm.
Monica says I have a wonderful young lady to send your way. She's dealing with postpartum strongly and needs help.
Send
We
her
the
on
average
over.
citizens in the
Yes.
Commonwealth, we can become how do we become a mom ambassador? That's an example.
So I'm glad you asked. So one of the our big initiatives for 2025 is to reestablish the village. So you hear it all the time in our community. It takes a village. You hear people talk about their village, and in days of past, everybody stepped in to help take care of the child and the mother. And but we don't live in community like we used to. So now we're trying to create it intentionally. So we're creating these multi-generational villages where we're bringing in the grandmoms and the aunties who just want to pour back in to these mothers. So if you want to become a mom ambassador, again, head on over to our website. There is a button under programs that says become a mom ambassador. Sign up so that you can be notified as we roll out these programs. But as you said earlier, it's about creating non-judgmental, compassionate spaces.
Yes.
We understand, listen, as a millennial parent, and me and my mom have this conversation all the time. Yes, I am parenting differently. She's like, you millennial parents, I know, mom, it's different. It is not the same as the way you raised me and my sister. It is
Yes.
very different, but I still need my mom, and I still call her. She'll tell you, I still call her, be like, Mom, there's something wrong with your grandkids. Come do something about them. So we still need that, and not everybody has that. And I'm so grateful that your daughter-in-law has that. I'm so grateful for healthy mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships, because that can be so rare. I love my mother-in-law to
Mhm.
pieces.
Mhm.
Um, but we want to create that for people who don't already have it. So
Mhm.
please, if you are willing, if you have even just a little bit of time that would allow you to pick up the phone and call someone who just had a baby to check in and see how they're doing, or to, bake a casserole and drop it off at their front door. If
Yep.
you are a person who has that time and who has that skill set, we ask you to head on over to our website, hit the Mombassador tab, and sign up to become part of the village.
And
I
our
think I
website is cocolife.black. So
Yes.
it's our name and it's
And it's our website. Yes.
yes.
I want to be a mom ambassador.
Yes.
There
Yes.
is a sister that I love dearly that I've been a mentor of that adopted a set of twins. And yesterday her husband came to my house. Always have clothes from my daughter-in-law and son, and they would send, the baby present and all the things and diapers. And when I go shopping for the twins, for the three of them, I call them copy, paste, and repeat. I buy stuff for her twins too. And so her husband came yesterday. And he says, you have literally become our baby's godmother. Like
Mm.
because if we have size one diaper, size two, it's a lot to have twins. We already
Yeah.
know this.
Yes.
But I also, to Lakeisha's point, when the twins were born, my son and I had a blowout at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe you're overfeeding the babies. You're blah 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 blah. My daughter-in-law was, what is going on? I was like, I'm going home. I'm taking my ish. I'm packing up my stuff, and I'm going. I need y'all. This is the transparent conversation I need y'all
Yes.
to have.
Yes.
I need you all to be aware that our children are parenting differently. Listen to them. When I shut down and I said to my son, "Okay, this is not the way I would have done it, but I'm hearing you,"
Mhm.
they call, Mom,
Yeah.
such and such is going on.
Hmm.
Can you? And I want to say, boy, if you listen, well, I don't say it, Lakeisha. I said, all right, what do you need? Right? Like you have to be able to, and not to judge. The twins are all over the place. I walk in the house, I see toys, I see bacon, I see, and my daughter-in-law posted on social media that she needs one of those vacuum cleaners,
Oh,
moppy thingies,
yeah.
and I just went and ordered it and sent it. She said, "What? How, Black Jesus? You just literally have to create the
Listen.
spaces
That's
without
it.
Yes.
judgment."
That's it.
Yes. That's it.
That is
That's
the most
it.
beautiful, and for, again, I not that I was so young when my mom passed, but I was definitely in a period where I still needed that
Yes,
support. And so in like a less than 10-year period, I lost my dad, my grandmother, and my mom, like the three people that had been anchors in my life. And so I'm so thankful. The village has been my motto from
yes,
13 years ago. So I thank God for my aunt who, when I lost my mom, she stepped up and
yeah.
in very much so. And my mother-in-law is so involved with Coco Life. She's
Yes,
able
Miss
for
Alma, we
us,
love you.
and she's able for us. She goes around and picks up stuff. She's our champion. And
Yes,
so that's what we really need.
yeah,
Pastor says it all the time. I know we got more patios than porches. And so we got to find a way to get back in each other's
yes,
business really good, because we are the answer.
Yeah.
We're not responsible for it, but
yes,
because God has positioned us as Black people and
yes,
people of color, especially to know how to commune and connect, we are
mhm.
wanting to leverage that superpower that we
Yes, that
have
we have. And
Yes.
so when we say leverage the superpower, leverage it without judgment. I shared
without
that story
judgment.
transparently
Yes.
because we need to do it without judgment.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not going to want you to come back. Don't say, "Oh my God, I went to the house and it was a hot mess." Say none of that. Your role is to love on the baby and support mom the best way you
Yes.
can.
And that
Right?
Yes.
dad, and
That'll
I
make
love
Yes.
all
what
the
you said.
difference.
I love
Yes.
what you said about the dads, because they do. We did a dad's den last Saturday during the Men's Know Your Numbers
Hmm.
for that reason, because our dads are a major part of the solution too, and making sure
Yes.
that they have space. So we're so
Yes.
grateful for
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Yes.
As
Me
listen,
too.
I am 14 minutes past when I was supposed to get
Oh,
off, and I didn't give a diggity dang because guess who owns this platform?
come on, own. Come
Okay,
on,
ownership.
own.
Okay.
Come
Okay.
on, own.
Okay. So I just love this. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Y'all go to
you.
cocalife.black. You
Mhm.
want to be a mom ambassador. You want to sign up to train as a doula. You're a mom that's going through pregnancy. You're a mom who has lost a child or your child was born sleeping. They
Yes.
love that term. They
Yeah.
love that
Yes.
term.
Yeah.
Or you're a mom who is in postpartum depression
Yeah.
and you're not feeling understood. All of that is there for you. And for those of you who are under the sound of my voice, even as we are talking about this, if you can donate $10 a month, because as we say in Jamaica, every bickel make a buckle. So if you can donate $10 a month, you know, for infinity. Just let the money come out of your account. $10 each month for Cocoa Life, moms. You think this is what we can do, because sometimes the grants dry up. Sometimes there's things going on. They need to have a cushion to continue to do this work, so that you all are not dying in hospitals and your babies are stillborn. We're just not doing that. We're just not doing that.
Hmm.
So Alexia and Nakisha, thank you all so much. This was an excellent conversation. I'm just gonna take it and use it as a podcast episode, child, because we don't need none of that. That was it. This will be a podcast episode, because this was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
the conversation that I'm seeing in the chat, it is so needed and so necessary, that I pray God's blessing on the two of you in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. I pray when the days become unbearable and you feel like forces are fighting against you, that you remember the God you serve.
Mm.
I pray that you have a faith of mustard seed in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. I pray that you continue to love on one another, and that the people that should come in your pathway to grow this organization will come, and the ones who are not meant to be there will move in the other direction. I
Amen.
pray that your husbands continue to support you and love on you in ways you cannot even begin to fathom. I pray the health of your children. I pray your strength. And I continue to pray God's grace on the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
Thank
much.
you.
I don't know where that
Thank
came
you.
from. That just came out of my mouth.
Amen.
Thank you. Amen. We receive it. Thank you.
All right, my sisters, thank you so much. We'll talk soon, okay?
Bye.
Bye bye.
Every morning that I get up, I turn and I look at my husband who's sleeping and snoring, and I say to myself, is this the day I stop going live? Is this the day? And every day that I come on the air, I get another reason why I am supposed to be here. I get another reason why I'm supposed to be here. I ask that you continue to pray for us at A Lawful Truth Media. I ask that you pray that we continue to bring on team members that are willing to do the work, able to do the work, that will not fuss and complain, because I have a fantastic team. I am so grateful to God for that. It's the only reason we could do what we've done in these last 6 months and counting. I pray that we get volunteers that are willing to step in the gap to help as much as possible as we grow this thing. And as it grows, then we'll figure out how to turn some volunteers into employees. I pray that those of you who are on here that listens every single day without fail, to the people that have walked up to me and said, this is fantastic. Your storytelling, the way you share with us, the way you allow us to come on and have the dialogue that we need to do. I pray, because that is what keeps me understanding that this platform continues to be necessary, that it is what where we have a space to tell our human interest stories. I pray that lives are saved on this platform every single day. Whether it's about kidney failure, it's about moms, it's about how we take care of ourselves, what's going on in our communities, how we lift and edify each other versus rip each other apart. I pray for all those things. And I pray that each and every one of you that are listening, that take the time to listen every day, that you find your joy, that you get some modicum of peace when you hear, welcome to Mornings with Marvel. This episode of Mornings with Marvel is officially over. And thank you all for this. Oh, God. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye bye.